Using and balancing sources in academic writing. Academic writing requires students to read and synthesize multiple sources with differing perspectives. The goal is to organize and contrast these perspectives clearly and logically. This unit explains how to present and balance multiple viewpoints, create cohesion using reference words and conjunctions.
Right, so the purpose of academic writing is to show your argument or discusses your argument and basically illustrate which side you belong to and do it in a very persuasive way. So for that purpose, you basically have to discuss a lot of different sources that pertain to the topic that you're trying to write about. So the more you read, the wider discussions that you can have in your essay. So that's why it's very important that you actually get to read a lot of different sources and you actually compare and contrast them, and then you actually analyze what you have contrasted and what your comparison and contrast in the essay. So we're going to learn how to actually use some of the reference words and some of the phrases as to illustrate your point very nicely in the essay. All right, let's move on. Read on.
Understanding multiple sources. Assignments expect students to use a range of academic sources. Sources may present conflict arguments or different theoretical frameworks. In many essays, the contrast between sources becomes the focus of discussion. Good writers organize contrasting ideas to build balanced and critical discussion.
Right, so in order to have a critical and balanced discussion in your essay, you basically have to discuss the various arguments that pertain to the topic. And a lot of cases, the sources that you're reading have a very conflicting views on the topic. So say we're discussing about the climate change, and these sources actually have a very wide range of opinions on the topic. And these opinions, a lot of times, are conflictory. So, they don't agree with it. I mean, that's the purpose of the whole debate. That's the purpose of having academic debates. So that's why their ideas are sometimes opposing and conflictory. So the better you illustrate those conflicts within their opinions and views, the better essay you're writing. And also, another angle that you can include in your essay, especially in academic writing, is to discuss various theoretical perspectives, various theoretical frameworks in your essay. So a lot of these sources, they have different theories on the topic. So say we're talking about globalization, and you read an article by say Horowitz. I'm just making up the name of the author. And he has a very positive aspect on the globalization process. So he might argue that globalization is a positive process which actually opens up the markets around the world, whereas like maybe a historian whose name is like Simon, he might have a very opposing point of view. He might say that globalization in history has proved that it's a tool to open up different countries for colonialism. So these authors have different theories about the globalization, and their theories are coming from different disciplines that they're working on. So you can actually discuss about the different theories that these authors discuss, or you can actually talk about different examples, historical example, or other case studies example that actually present different and very conflictory views on the topic itself.
Referring to sources, early stages. Writers begin by referring to other researchers to demonstrate awareness of existing studies. This shows that their work builds on or reacts to previous research. In longer essays or theses, this forms a literature review section. Referring to prior research shows your writing informed and credible.
Right, so this term is very important, prior research. So if you were to write an essay, then maybe more than half of your essay should build on the prior research. Especially if you're a beginning researcher, then you have to read a lot, you know? So, and you're writing an essay, you basically read a lot of different sources, and you actually build up the prior research on the topic. Say, you know, you're writing an essay about globalization process, especially in developing countries. Then you basically read like hundreds of like different literature which talk about the globalization process in developing countries, and you actually get to discuss, you know, author A is different from author B in this perspective, and author C actually discusses the case of Korea or the case of Latin America. You know, they might actually bring up different case studies or different history or different country examples for their arguments. So what you have to do is, you know, you basically have to read a lot, and you have to be able to summarize, you know, different authors' arguments, and, you know, summarize their opinions, and also analyze their arguments by making comparisons and contrasting, you know, different examples of different theories or different case studies they're writing about in their sources. All right, so it's actually better to do some exercise on this aspect. So this class is basically to teach you how to write well, you know, like how to actually utilize different phrases and different expressions, you know, to illustrate your example and to compare the sources. So we're going to do some exercise based on this. So let's have a look. So let's turn to page 86. It says, referring to sources, and read the following example from a study of student transition from school to university, and answer the questions that follow. So we have a source from McQuan, 2015. So you read this paragraph, and then you write answers for the questions A, B, C, D, E. Okay, let's get started. Make sure you bring your pen, okay? Let's go. A. How many sources are mentioned here?
2.
2? 2?
10.
No.
10? 6. Okay, so let's move on. Ramsden, 1992. That's 1. Tinto, 2005. 2nd. Cook and Rushton, 3rd. The Danglash and Chan, 4th. York, 2000, 5th. Christop et al., 6th. So 6. Right?
Our last 2 are our sources, and the
but
are included in that source.
But mentioned in here, mentioned in this source, right? Okay. B. Which writers examine expectations of learning and teaching?
Ramsden, Tinto, and Cook and Rushton.
Really?
Dalglish and Chan.
Yes, very good. Danglish and Chan. What was the subject of your study?
Academic support.
Very good. Academic support. Which writer looked at expectations of assessment?
Ramsden.
Very good. Why do you think page numbers are given for Ramsden? Oh, this is difficult, right?
Ramsden is repeated in this paragraph many times, so there is a need of clarification.
Very good. Yeah, so it's being repeated over and over again. So to specify the point, you know, made. So if you want to specify the point made, then you can actually link it directly to the page mentioned in the article or the book publication. Very good. Okay, let's move on to practice A. Read another paragraph from the same study and answer the questions that follow. We have A and B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go. Let's have a look. Number A. What's the main subject of the paragraph?
Challenges for international studies.
Very good. B. Summarize the different points made by each of the 5 sets of sources cited. First is Danglish and Chan, blah blah blah, international student, yeah. And then Number 2, Ramsey, Barker, and Jones, 1999.
Academic adjustment becomes challenging.
Right, that's good. And?
Next one.
No, number 2. Any other idea?
There are more challenging requirements for academic adjustment implementation.
Right, and then it also concerns about the period of adjustment. So it concerns about the time, okay? And not only the challenges themselves, but then the period of adjustment to new academic environment needed by international students. Number 3, Ryan and Carroll, 2005.
Students need to get used to new culture.
Right, cultural adjustments, right? So this is the cultural aspects of the challenges. And 4, Wu and Hammond, 2011.
Language.
Very good, linguistic. And 5, Carroll.
Adjustments take a lot of time.
Very good. This concerns about the time as well. So you can see that different sources actually discuss different aspects of the challenges faced by international students. So number 1 is basically the expectations held by the students. Number 2, period of adjustment. And 3, cultural aspects. 4, linguistic aspect. And 5th is the length of time as well. So when you actually discuss about the international students, you basically have to discuss these various sources as to illustrate different points, of the challenges. It's not only about the challenges, but specific points about the challenges themselves. All right, let's move on. Presenting a source.
Common structures for presenting others' ideas. According to Dembski, O'Hare argues or thinks that Unsworth's model places foreign policy on a continuum. Various scholars have supported this position. Geddes 2016, Mulhouse 2018. Walter Benjamin made Paris the capital of the 19th century. These forms integrate
You have to read this.
Benjamin 1999. These forms integrate source material smoothly while maintaining academic tone.
Guys, these examples very, very important. You guys have to memorize them, okay? So when you actually discuss using the various sources, you can use these expressions, okay? So according to the source, okay? According to Kim 2015, okay? And you illustrate the point made by the source, okay? According to. And this is the most commonly used one. So Kim 2014 argues, or Kim 2014 claims, but you have to insert the publication, your publication. And then this also doesn't include the year of publication, but usually it does. So Kim's model places this on a continuum, or this on the environment, okay? And this is, the 4th example is very important. Guys, have a look. This is very important. So you guys have to discuss a lot of sources, right? In this case, you say various scholars have supported this position, or various scholars have opposed this position. Various scholars have presented this case, right? You can use this expression, but when you do this, you have to put the sources in the brackets. And the way you put the sources here, you put the surname, and then the comma, and the year of publication, and semicolon. All right? So this is one source. This is the second source. So surname of the author, comma, year of publication. All right? So if you want to put 2 sources, you only need 1 semicolon. But if you want to put four sources, how many semicolons do you need? 3. Yes. All right. So by putting the semicolon in between, you actually divide. All right. You just signify that this is one source, this is second source. But the way you put it is the surname of the author, comma, year of publication, semicolon, within the brackets. This is important, guys. When you actually cite multiple authors, this is the way you do. And then the 4th, this is basically, this is similar to the second examples, but you can, instead of like putting the, the surname and then the year of publication in the brackets afterwards, you could, if you want to use the full name of the author, this is the way you do it. So, Walter Benjamin, blah, 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 and at the end of the sentence, you can put the parentheses, you can put the brackets, okay? And then the surname, comma, year of publication. Brackets and full stop, period. So you have to put the brackets before the full stop, period. Guys, important! This is gonna be in your exam, alright? Memorize them. No way, no other way than memorization, okay? So, yeah, so if you get used to it, then it's easy. It's just, to get used to it, you need a lot of practices. But just memorize them, okay? Alright, contrasting sources.
Writers must often present opposing perspectives. A counter-argument is presented by crows, regardless of the theoretical approach. Despite this, Chatterton claims, argues, denies. On the other hand, it can be argued that, however, this goal change has had negative consequences. Using contrast shows critical analyze rather than simple summary.
Guys, this is important as well. So if you contrast two sources or multiple sources, these are the expressions that you can use. Alright? Have a look. Guys, have a look. So you can say a counter argument is presented by Kim 2015. Okay? Or regardless of his approach, regardless of the Kim's argument, regardless of Kim's claim, all right? The third one, despite this, all right? Despite this, Kim argues, Kim claims, Kim denies the fact that, all right? The fourth one, they use this expression as well. If you want to change the tone, if you want to change the argument, the direction of your argument, then you can put this phrase, on the other hand. All right? On the other hand is to change the direction of your argument. Or if you want to make a contrary point, then you can use however. All right? So make sure that when you contrast different sources, you use these expressions. So, I can't actually teach you how to use them. You just have to use them in your writing, right? So the more you use, more familiar you get used to these expressions, and you can just use these expressions naturally, all right? But for me, I read a lot, so that's why I just got used to it. I took a lot of notes of the sentences, and afterwards, after you wrote thousands of them, you got used to the expressions. That's how I learned. But different people have different, ways to utilize the expression. So if you're not used to this expression, memorize it, please. Okay? So it's gonna come up in your essay. In your final term exam, so make sure that you memorize them and get to use them. But we're going to do some exercises to write to use these expressions today. All right, organizing multiple sources.
When referencing several studies, other than alphabetically, APA, Harvard, or chronologically to show development. Example of alphabetical order. There is still ambiguity in the literature. See Borchert, Z's, 2003, Borchert, semicolon, Birch and Moran, 1985, semicolon, Kana and Best, 2007, semicolon, Gutzman, 1965, semicolon, Kamenek, 1992, semicolon, King, 1983. Clear organization helps readers trace the relationship between scholars.
Right. So say you have this kind of expression coming out, right? So it's actually referring to a lot of sources. I think 8 sources here, right? And before, here as well. Guys, have a look. Have a look. They're actually referring to multiple sources here. So when you actually write down the multiple sources, what you have to do is you have to arrange them in the alphabetical order. So these are the surnames of the authors, right? So this is the first author. His name is Bouchard. So it starts with B, right? So this one is the first, and Birch and U is later than O. So this comes next, and Kota C, right? So this is the third one, and Gutzman G. So this is the way that you actually arrange them alphabetically. But if you want to emphasize the chronological order, if you want to emphasize that you actually read a lot of the latest articles, in scientific writing, you basically have to read a lot of latest articles. So in that case, you can actually refer to various sources in chronological order. So say like Sun, Kim 2025, and Farhan 2023, Irina 2021, like this, okay? So you can either arrange them chronologically from the recent to the oldest, or you can arrange them alphabetically from A to Z. Does that make sense? All right, I told you. All right, okay, let's do the exercise. Let's move on to page 88, and we have practice B. It says the texts that follow 4.1 to 4.3 reflect different approaches to the topic of globalization. So read each text, then complete the paragraph from an essay entitled Globalization Mainly Benefits Multinational Companies Rather than Ordinary People. Discuss, using all three sources in about 100 words. Right? So you have three sources here. All right, one by Simbale, the second one Ramesh, and the third one Vish. So you basically read them all with three of them, and then you basically have to compare and contrast these sources as to discuss about the statement, globalization mainly benefits multinational companies rather than ordinary people. So if you agree, then you have to use the sources accordingly, but if you disagree with the statement, you have to use sources in a different way, okay? Does that make sense? Okay, let's get started. And you have to write more than 100 words, okay? Guys, if you're sleepy, then why don't you stand up? Okay, let's move on for cohesion. So after we have finished, we can go back to the contrasting sources. You can go on reading.
Cohesion means connecting ideas and sentences to writing clear and readable. It's achieved through reference words like he, she, they, it, this, conjunctions like however, although, then, because. Without cohesion, a text feels fragmented and unclear. This unit focuses on reference words. Unit 10 covers conjunctions.
Right, so here, if you were to contrast and compare sources, basically you have to be able to use reference words very well, just to connotate, there are connections between the ideas and also the sentences. So we're gonna just do some exercises in using the reference words, like using the pronouns and how to use them in the sentences and also the conjunctions.
Reference words link ideas and avoid repetition. Example, Leonardo da Vinci was a 15th century Italian genius who produced a handful of artworks. However, they include Mona Lisa and the Last Supper, the former perhaps the most famous painting in the world. Although he is remembered mainly as an artist, he was also an engineer and scientist.
So how many pronouns do we have in here?
They,
He and they.
he and they, yes.
Yeah, right, so this they refers to what?
Artworks.
Yes?
Yes.
And then the former refers to what?
Former?
Yeah, the former.
The Mona Lisa,
Mona
yeah, the
Lisa,
first one.
Right?
He, Leonardo da Vinci.
Right. Yeah. So you have to be able to use this pronouns and like conjunctions as well in order to connote the connections between different objects, subjects, and ideas and like sentences. Alright, so what are the examples of the reference words?
Type example function. Pronouns he, she, it, they refer to people or things already mentioned. Possessive pronouns his, her, its, their show ownership. Object pronouns him, her, them replace nouns as objects. Demonstratives this, that, these, those point to specific items. Phrases the former, the latter, the first, the last, clarity relationships. Using varied reference words keeps writing clear and connected.
Yeah, so I think the pronouns are, they're fundamental, sort of basic, so I don't think I have to explain to them. But you can use these phrases like the formal or the latter, the first and the last. You can use these expressions to indicate something or the someone, alright? So these are called reference words, and basically you have to be able to use them pretty well in your writing to make connections between the different ideas and different sentences and different people. But there's a caveat that you have to be very careful in using the pronouns, and we're going to look at those.
Use reference words only when their meaning is clear and unambiguous. Ambiguous example. Pablo Picasso moved to Paris in 1904 and worked with Georges Braque from 1909 to 1909. He became interested in the analyse of form. It's unclear whether he refers to Picasso or Braque. Revised for clarity. Pablo Picasso moved to Paris in 1904 and worked with Georges Braque from 1908 to 1909. Picasso, the former, became interested in form, leading to Cubism. Always ensure reference words clearly identify their subject.
Yeah, so when you're using the pronouns like he, she, it, they, his, her, it's their, the him, them, this, including the demonstratives like this, that, these, those. Always remember you have to be able to specify, right? In this case, just write he, right? But it's not very clear who he refers to. In this case, it can create confusion, right? So if it's confusion to the author, then it's better not to use the pronoun and use the noun instead. You just specify the name, all right? So whenever you use pronouns, if the pronouns that you're using are not very clear in meaning, then don't use them. Just use the specific nouns. This is very important rule. It's an important rule when you're writing. Okay, let's do the exercise in page 91. So it says practice C. So we have examples of reference words and phrases. So read the following paragraph and complete the table with reference words. So you read this paragraph and there's a reference and you write down the reference word or phrase on the right hand column.